This story happened 2 years ago on my now gone grandfather's farm. Before I start talking about the story, I'm gonna give a description of the farm. Sorry if I spell something wrong. We have a big wooden house and 2 sheds at the back of the building, and at least half a football field sized grass field that ends with the woods, and on the left side of the building there are some deep woods that go for some bit. Front of the building is different crops, had corn, carrots, some apple trees, and my grandfather's tomato garden, and some animals to rabbits, chicken, and 2 livestock guardians, well, dogs. On the right side a small building to hold our tractor and some other vehicles that can fit in there. When I first was on the farm it didn't feel right, felt like I was being watched, but that feeling faded away after some time. Did what I could to help on the farm, and on morning found out that one of the dogs was bloody and had a broken paw. I told my grandfather and he went to the vet with the dog. After some time I checked in on the rabbits. The area where the rabbits were looked like a rabbit's leg there at ear on the fence. Called my grandfather right after that and said what I see. He was angry. My grandfather, he lost 3 rabbits to some unknown animal. Me and my grandfather were thinking about it on what could it be, a black bear, a brown bear, a wolf, we didn't know. My grandfather had the idea to buddies of his who had some trail cameras and asked to borrow them for a bit. Grandfather set up 2 on the animal area, 1 on the garden and 1 from the house pointing towards the apple trees and cornfield, and 2 at the back of the building. For days went by. Got G-Dog back, had a cast on and was held inside for some while. I believe it was in the middle of the summer. My friends Carl, Jake, Mike, Jacob called me and said, could we come over and do a small camping trip in the woods near your grandpa's farm? I asked my grandpa and said it okay, so the next day me and my friends got ready to go camping, but my grandfather stopped us and draped me inside for a minute to hand me one of his shotguns, the double barrel, and said be careful, look out for bears, while handing me like 9 to 10 shotgun shells. After that I put the double barrel on my back and headed up to the wood with my friend on the camping trip. We were not so deep in the woods I could barely see the building and the 2 sheds. When we picked the spot we wanted, we unpacked one of my 4 friends. Mike started to set up one of those giant tents where you could stand inside and not touch the top. After that we created a fire pit, and then me and Jacob started the fire standing back while the fire started. After that Jake pulled out some food and drinks, some colas and waters with some meats and sweets too. After that we cooked some food, talked and had a good time. Sometimes we heard something around us but thought nothing about it until Mike said, I think I see a bear, which reminded me about the gun that I forgot on my back. Took it off my back and loaded it with 2 shells. ANF, look around, see the animal that's running away now. It was a deer. After that had some laughs and whatnot. It started to get dark, so 2 of my friends went to sleep while me, Jake and Carl were still up talking about school and what we have done in the summer. And then we just heard the loudest twig ever snap from deeper in the woods. The sound echoed for a bit, and after that the forest went silent. And then Jacob and Mike woke up, came out and asked what it was. I said it was a twig snapping by some animal, but the more twigs starts to snap, but the sound of it came closer, so Jacob went into the tent grabbing one of those high power flashlights and came out and scanned the woods for a bit, until we heard more twigs snap from the direction. So I took the gun and took out a headlamp and started to scan the forest. Gun pointed towards the darkness. Something was coming closer to us, so I did a warning shot into the air, and here is from multiple directions, something just run away. After that we calmed down, sat down and pulled out our radio, one of those handheld ones and start to play some music from it. 2 hours later hear a guy twig snap, but this time it sounded like it was from multiple directions, and we started to scan the woods. Here as the twig snapping gets louder, and then here as my friend screams what the F# % is that. As I look towards the area where their flashlight's moving I see a glimpse of some kind of thing running. I flicked the gun towards the area where I think it is and shot. It hit something that sounded like a fox if it would have a very deep vocal cord screaming like a demon from hell. That's when we all just run for the grass field, leaving our stuff behind. When we got to the grass field we still heard whatever it was in the woods, seeing something past the not so well burning fire, so I put 2 new shells into the gun and fired while screaming at the top of my lungs, leave this as property or I'm gonna call the